Back to doing another co-working stream. Just a reminder on the schedule. We're going to go a little bit late. I had a harbor meeting that got postponed. Actually, that got postponed till 3 today. I need to fix that. There we go. And then this will get pushed back. Stat event. And so we're going to go until about 6-ish, a little bit after that. And we are going to continue writing the proposal. So let me just go ahead and show you the schedule. So, and then I'll be trying to come back tonight, do a little bit more co-working tonight. I kind of want to finish this whole proposal up for tomorrow so I can maybe piggyback on this harbor meeting that we're having and present some stuff about that. We'll talk about the schedule for tomorrow morning for coffee, but for the rest of the night, then tonight, hopefully I'll come back at 9 and we'll do yet another session. So let's get into it. We are, I'm kind of writing the main components of the proposal so I can just go over them really quickly. I kind of want to make like a high level findings document. I don't know what that would look like though. So that's going to be hard for us to figure out. I wrote the justifications about why package management won't work. So if I needed to dig into that, I can. Actually, that's a lie. This is a lie. I got to remove that. That was actually a component that was bad. So I don't want that out there. I just realized that. I remove that note. So back to the Kubernetes, we got the CAPS Helm procedure, which is different than some of the other stuff. Actually might want to change this whole thing. So I think I'll pull up the Helm procedure. The Helm procedure that we're doing here was actually assuming you're going to get Helm and you're going to pull it down and everything. And I actually feel like that this is what you're doing if you're going to manage Helm. Like you don't compress it or anything like that. I don't feel like you need to do that anymore. So I think we're going to have to actually change this, but this is part of the proposal that I want to flesh out the rest of. So let's take the scenario. The scenario is you have let me get rid of my headphones. So the scenario is, let's see here. You have yeah, that's really loud. So sorry about that. Oh, sorry about that. You've been given a Helm chart and you need to do something with the Helm chart. All right, so you have to make a decision about what to do with it. And basically the process is this: download the tarball, convert it, download the tarball in the index.yaml file, so you can tell whether it changed or not. Flatten it to a template, flatten the template with the Helm template command to a YAML resource file, and then use that. So that's kind of the process here. Hey, Chris. Welcome. It's like ping pong with Chris on our raids lately. So, and I actually wrote the rest of this proposal up. I'll just go show it. Is that find k8sapp? Yeah, I know. I don't rate anybody else hardly. So Zet edit Kubernetes applications management conventions. So this is kind of the I'm kind of formalizing the approach in my complaint about Kubernetes in general with regard to applications management, so that I can make my case tomorrow when I present to my team about why I want to drop Helm and I don't want to use operator framework. And I think custom operators are too big for our particular team. and why Terraform and Ansible don't make any sense here because we don't use either of them on our team. And Kustomize is yet another thing we have to learn when kubectl is just fine. So ultimately, that's going to be my recommendation for our team. Other teams might have different things, but I feel like this is the write-up of that. So, and I'm just going to read this again. I had a bad spelling error. Cloud native administrators are forced to learn one of these since there is no agreement in the industry as to any standard. And there isn't. Don't let anybody tell you that Helm is a standard. It's not. Helm is not a standard. Helm is the closest thing to a standard, but it's so full of mistakes and problems. Let me prove it to you. Go to the Helm GitHub chart. Yep. And look at how many open issues there are on this thing. It's insane. And I'm not slamming any person who was ever involved with this. I'm slamming this. So, oh wait, 272 open issues, right? So I don't know if that was the same one. I could have swore I saw over 10,000 issues at one point. I think they might have changed it. What was it that I had open? Oh no, was it no feature discovery? No, anyway, it was this. It has a bunch of open issues, but most importantly, it's not Helm's fault. It's not. Okay, let me read on. Because I've got to convey this succinctly and I got to practice doing it. The industry is full of overlay hype frameworks and package managers, quote, vying for dominance while failing to meet even minimal requirements for air gap security and sustainability. The situation brought about by attempting to force imperative IT business process into a declarative, quote, solutions has created chaos and a climate of conflict and shame for those refusing to use the Kubernetes application management standards when, in fact, the safest and most sustainable approach is to keep things simple. Just use Kubernetes resource files in kubectl and follow that conventional methodology until Yaml is finished, Chris. I did that for you. When Yaml's finished, we might think of it. Yaml's going to make a lot of headway, and Chris is working on that. So, amidst the chaos, a common set of admin practices seems mandatory so that each application is looked after in a way that is implementation agnostic. I cannot overemphasize this point as an admin. Okay, a lot of the stuff that's coming out of the industry is for developers, by developers. They want an easy process to do the build and to capture it and template it and all that stuff. And that's what Helm is. It's made for developers by developers. And they're like, hey, you know what? We can use this and force operations people to use it to install stuff. And when in fact, it doesn't meet the need. So let me continue there. Amidst the chaos, the common set of admin practices seems mandatory. One does not care about how these practices are fulfilled, only that they are. Some can be scripted. Some are a matter of documentation, but all are required for an application to make it into your production cluster. One could say that every application can implement its own methods for these same operations. Operations are the actions taken by any cloud native admin or by a script on behalf of the admin. To be clear, this is not yet another abstraction or script, even though it can be implemented as such. It's just a matter of agreeing on what everyone on the admin team should do with respect to all Kubernetes applications while allowing each its own specificity. That means if you want Ray operator and you have to deploy as an operator, fine. So the k8sapp contract states, and this is just my thing, it's not really mine, it's just common sense. I agree to provide a Git repo for each app. This is, you believe it or not, this is not done. No, there's like stuff in share drives, there's stuff over here and there, and there's stuff everywhere, whether it's been developed from your own infrastructure team or another applications team. Just getting people to agree to put each application in its own Git repo is a big deal. You got to have a fight about monorepo versus not, and stuff. And not fight, I mean, by fight, I mean debate. So name repos and consistent conventions, that's what I suggested. I agree to provide a detailed README. And people don't document their applications. They don't talk about where they're come from and everything. I agree to keep a vendor copy of the original application. This is important. So in the case of a Helm chart, this means a Helm directory, in my case, with a tarball in it. And that tarball is the last Helm chart that we messed with to build our own customization. I agree to document the following procedures with in the README. Fetch, how do I acquire it from an authoritative source? Validate, how do I check it out, make sure it's the right thing, its policies are there, do I have OPA, gatekeeper policies I'm going to apply ahead of time to check and make sure they're going to pass when they get in the cluster? Do I have infrastructure dependencies that aren't there? Blah, blah, blah. That means actually like basically trying to get it to run. It also means you probably have RBAC permissions that aren't going to work, which is what happened to me on Jupyter Hub. It needed a cluster role and a cluster role binding for the service account, but it didn't tell you you needed that. And the only way I found that was by trying to install it. Because the people who made the Helm chart didn't document that, as far as I know. Maybe they did and I missed it. I don't know. So configure adapt original to move to match your environment. So you need to make a ton of configurations locally. That means like, am I going to be pulling these images locally? Or am I going to be changing, parameters for like an NFD and then no feature discovery? How do I, check to see whether it's recent or not? And then Helm install. In the case of Helm, do I do a Helm install, kubectl apply -f, whatever, Helm upgrade, Helm install, etc. How am I going to do that? How do I describe these things? Are all Helm centric because I wrote it when I was thinking about using Helm. I actually did this whole thing with I made a validate plugin for Helm and learned how to do Helm plugins, which are just scripts, so it's not a big deal. And then, how do you check for version dependencies and stuff later? One thing that nobody's talking about on our team and any team, frankly, is how do you go back and check when your applications you've installed have security holes or updates or anything? Nobody is checking this stuff. There's no proactive systems of reminders to say, hey, you know what? You really should go check to see if there's a new version of that Helm chart, or there's a new version of the operator, or there's a new version of the whatever, right? And there's nothing reminding you to do that. And so if you don't add a check to the sort of contract, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. And you're going to get fucked because some security hole is going to land in there. And you're not going to hear about it because it's not like there's CVEs on node feature discovery, right? I mean, at least there's no proactive way of knowing about it. So most people don't even know what stuff's installed inside of their cluster, period. They have a ton of stuff, but it's not even listed anywhere. So just having one of these for each repo, right? And I want to add another one here. I agree to keep a central manifest of all Kubernetes applications, of all installed applications in its own Git repo. Because you need it. You need a manifest that says, where is everything? Let's go run it. And by the way, if you do script some of these verbs, you don't have to, but if you do, you could run through it and say, hey, I need to check and see if I have I need to run the script from that Git repo and check to see if we have a new thing, and then send that to your iSingle alerts or whatever, so you can tell whether you have something new. Otherwise, you're never going to know. You're never going to know there was a new chart ever put out. It's never going to happen. We have no process for that right now. So I really want to make sure that gets punched in my proposal about what we're going to do here. So what does it look like? What does the actual manifestation of this look like? Well, to me, it's going to be creating a template that's, a base GitHub template that can be reproduced or, just duplicated however you want. And then basically you don't even really need to do a template. It's just a README file. That's it. It's a README file and a YAML file. That's it. And then, if you've got vendor stuff, then put it under Helm or whatever, and then just keep your tarball. And by the way, you can actually do a Helm. I realized this yesterday. I thought, man, I wonder if, and I'd experiment. Actually, you can do a Helm. You can do a Helm template command against a tarball directly. So you don't have to expand it and lose the version in the name and all the stuff that happens when you do that. You can actually just do it. And since you're not going to be fucking with anything in the template and you really don't want to allow other people to do so, just leave it in a tarball and have it in. I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit because I'm going to keep that. And then I talk about vendoring. Vendoring is the process of saving external dependencies with one's code. k8sapp leverages the vendoring approach to preserve Helm charts and other YAML resources, blah, 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 blah. So, and I wrote another thing recently. This is a little bit more opinionated. If you really want to know my biggest gripe in all of this, and I put it in its own blurb because I didn't want to overly burden the proposal with ranting about, calling it package management. Kubernetes is not a Linux distribution. Stop treating it like it is. It's not. That's the TLDR. The TLDR is stop treating Kubernetes like a Linux distro. It's not. That's it. And if I have to make a further point beyond that, everything else is just sort of redundant to that one statement. And that's my one-liner to communicate what I mean. And all you have to do is compare something like Webpack to APT, right? And dpackage. They're not the same. And Helm is closer to Webpack than to APT. Because why? Because it's not a package manager. Because why? If you install APT with Open Secure Shell, server, for example, you just install, uninstall, blah, blah, blah. You're not opening up the packages and configuring them with regard to software, blah, blah, blah. And package manager is just very seamless because it goes with a specific distro that has agreed to support it. See, the difference between, I should put this in here. So yeah, I'm going to put another thing. Okay, I got to keep doing this here. Wait. I need a paragraph on this. So, package managers work. You guys want S keys on? I'll turn them on if you want. Package managers work because the distros that support them have a contract to provide what those package managers need. There is a concrete agreement between the creators of the distro and the creators of the package manager. Such a relationship does not exist between Kubernetes and any quote-unquote package manager. Does not exist between any would-be Kubernetes package manager. Nor could there ever be, because every single Kubernetes cluster is completely different. Yeah. So consider the process of installing and maintaining a Helm chart. First, you identify the chart, then you copy down the tarball, uncompress it, look through it for the defaults with Helm template, read through the templates themselves, make sure everything's fine, there's no bugs, you know what to customize, check the Git repo to see if there's open issues, change the references to external images to local ones, run the resource files through OPA conf test to proactively ensure they meet security policies, then attempt to install only to discover that you must create additional RBAC resource before it would even run. And then be able to undo all of that customization once you remove and ungrave your package. This is not package management. This is software configuration, building, and installation. Helm is not a package manager. It never was. It was born out of the need for applications creators to make it easier to build applications, not install and manage them. Helm had good intentions, but Helm tried to provide an impossible solution. As much as naive tech bloggers like to make you think otherwise, Kubernetes is not a Linux distribution. Is not anything like a Linux distribution. Every Kubernetes cluster is unique and has its own configuration. So I have to say it like 5 times because it's so important. They require a large amount of customization, even between development and production clusters. In fact, it makes creating a standard package manager impossible. It would be like creating an APT system that addresses every single Linux distro available today. The fallacy that such applications can be managed in the same simple way is the source of much wasted time, money, and safety. One popular attempt at a universal solution to applications management and installation demonstrates how ludicrous this all is. The operator framework, originally for Red Hat, is a disastrous security failure requiring its OLM have full cluster admin permissions and placing the responsibility for the cluster security on the administrators, who are warned, despite their open tickets regarding the massive security flaw, to, quote, check anything you install with it to be sure it's safe. Imagine telling that to APT users. Keep in mind that Helm 2 with Tiller was shamed out of existence by the industry for attempting the same stupidity. Ironically, even though OLM has the equivalent of what I call enterprise root not just for one server, but your whole enterprise cluster, it is still unable to provide the simplicity of a package manager we've come to expect when the distro is relatively locked down. Again, the problem is with the design assumption, not the technology. Kubernetes is not a Linux distro. It's anything but. Please stop perpetuating this dangerous comparison. Instead, we should be focusing on facilitating duplication of application code and adding sustainable practices for maintaining that code over time, leveraging the same successful process evolved from software applications development. In other words, we need to be apps developers. Many may not like to hear us, but you cannot administer a Kubernetes cluster without software development skills, notably GitHub, CI/CD, shell scripting, Go code review, and YAML JSON configuration. You simply cannot administer a collection of systems, infrastructures, applications without these core skills. There's no such thing as a Kubernetes an admin who does. I mean, you should. I don't know if I need to say anything more about that. I mean, this is going to be hard for my team to hear. My team is already on board with this because they kind of already accepted it. But part of my team, I think, is going to be is not going to like hearing that, you can't do your job unless you know how to. At least you can't do the applications management part of the job without that. They're you know what? We need to find a title for that. We need to find anybody who's been in Kubernetes, even for less than a year, can tell you that there's like multiple roles on any Kubernetes administration team, and you kind of have specialists. It's like, those movies, the military, you have the bomb guy, and you have the thief girl, and you have, you know what I mean? You get all of the different roles, right? They're all criminals, but they're all, I don't know if that works, but you know what I'm saying? It's like everybody's got a different role. And you need to sort of identify what those roles are, because there's going to be extra skills needed for the sub role within the Kubernetes team. And if you're the applications person, if you're the one responsible for installing and maintaining and keeping up to date, the infrastructure system software, the applications that are kind of grouped together with Kubernetes, such as Elasticsearch, Tecton, Harbor. God, I could go on Argo. I mean, all the stuff that is expected to be there if you have a Kubernetes cluster, right? That some applications team is not going to maintain. You have to maintain. I mean, I suppose, is anybody, I don't know not many people here, but I wonder, are there any teams out there that put all of the onus for this onto the applications people? I doubt it. And the reason I doubt it is because the people that are running the infrastructure, the Kubernetes administration, they're not likely to give cluster admin roles and permissions to the applications team, because it's like giving root to developers so that they can install their software. There's a separation there. That's the whole point of DevOps containers in the first place, is to try to keep them separated, right? Well, so I don't see Kubernetes applications, like some of the core applications that everybody installs, Istio, for example, right? Envoy. I mean, Envoy comes with Istio, but the point I'm trying to make is that there is a role within the Kubernetes infrastructure team that may be fulfilled by multiple people, but is absolutely required. And that role is software administration and maintenance, system software administration and maintenance, and in installation, whatever. And sometimes that means writing it, right? So creating cron jobs, everybody's got something special they do with their namespaces. They have some sort of OAuth integration. Every company does it differently. So some people may have, some LDAP integration, whatever. They do it all different. This way you can't call Kubernetes a distro, because there's so many different combinations to create a Kubernetes cluster once you get all those pieces in place. It doesn't come with an ingress. You got to pick one. Well, what kind of ingress do you have, right? So somebody's got to be point, or a few people have got to be point on the applications, and they've just got to be, honestly, their skills need to be in the CCAD area even more than the Kubernetes admin area, because they in very many ways, they are applications developers. They're just not writing the source. They're altering the source and they're updating the source so that it fits with their environment. But that requires the same developer skills that to some degree that they would have required to make the thing in the first place. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're putting together a Kubernetes team, you have to have a Kubernetes application developer on the team, whether or not they are the primary. I think it's fair to say that you could probably have a specialist and everybody can kind of, I mean, it's not too hard to make a cron job or, a basic deployment. I mean, any of your administrators should know how to do that basic stuff just because they need to be able to debug applications themselves and stuff. But in addition to that, you actually need people who know how to set up services. I do think there needs to be an additional role. I think there needs to be a network specialist, somebody who has deep training in network administration, period. And their primary role on the Kubernetes infrastructure team is dealing with routing and ARP storms and integration with load balancers and DNS and all the stuff that's network related. You need somebody that's got a particular specialty in your Kubernetes team that does that as well. That's why so many people who are hiring Kubernetes people don't hire Kubernetes people. They hire infrastructure engineers. That's what they did for me. They hired me as an infrastructure engineer and they said, you can learn Kubernetes, but we need you to know all this other stuff, in order to be able to even fit in the team. And so where does this go in terms of proposal? I think what I'm going to be suggesting is that is that we need to. I mean, the one of the biggest lies is that if you use Helm, you won't have to deal with all of this, and that will get you in trouble. That will get you in big trouble. Because you're still going to have to do that. You're still going to have to do that. So let's go ahead and update that. So that one's updated. So let's get into the specifics. What does this actually look like? So in the case of Jupyter Hub, so I'm going to review two of the specifics right now, and I'm trying to vet out the presentation I want to give. So I want to keep it down to 20-30 minutes to make my case here. So there are multiple approaches to this in the industry. And the one that I'm just going to zero in on is we have a Helm chart and we don't want to use the Helm chart anymore. So step one, and this is actually what I was editing over in the other one. So I have a thing that's called the Helm app procedure. And this is the one I really have to document because we have a lot of stuff that's in Helm I'm going to be converting out of Helm. And then I have to test it. That's going to be hard. Because how do you even test this stuff, right? Once again, because you make a bunch of changes to how the source code is written. This is so important to get this in place before you build a cluster. Oh my God, I'm just kind of feeling that a lot right now. Because once you get your cluster built, like we have this cluster that's been built, it's been by hook or crook, it's got stuff all over the place, and then what? What do? You start to get organized, right? So then you go, well, we're going to get rid of Helm on this chart here. We're going to put them in. Now you have to test all that shit. And you have no baseline. You can't all of a sudden redo the production installation with the new thing that you just refactored. And frankly, in my case, you don't even know if they use the right thing to install it in the first place. You have no idea. And so you have no way to test that. So short of making another production cluster, because there's going to be variance between production and dev, which is an issue all by itself, right? I mean, Helm wouldn't work just for that one issue. Most people who are installing software want to install it in dev or prod, and they have minor configuration changes in the way service work or something. They shouldn't, right? It should be the same across the board. But so this is the Helm procedure that I was trying to do, and then I decided to simplify it. So I'm actually going to change this. So name the repo Kubernetes something short. Create a readme.md. Title is Kubernetes long name. Create a Helm directory and change into it. Add the remote repo with the Helm short name. Repo add blah. Update the repo. List all the charts. You actually don't need to list the charts. This is crazy. This is I need to here. That needs to go into something else actually. Wait. No. Yeah. The hat pattern looks like it's a moving QR code. Yeah. I'm gonna do. I could probably do that. I could wear a QR code. That'd be fun, huh? Zet edit. Oh, what do I want to call that? Let me try again. This one. This took us forever to find. That's why I don't want to lose it. Did I fucking delete it? I hate myself. Where did the search go? I removed it. God damn it. Oh no, there it is. Cache chart list. Cache chart list to detect newer versions. Okay, so I don't know about that. I think just grabbing the index.yaml file is more important than that. I'm going to change this. These are pain in the ass commands, so repo short name. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm redoing this whole thing. So I forgot how to cut and paste this into the thing. I got to put this into a demo too. I'm thinking here. I don't want to go overboard on the details, you know. So just say, okay, you make a Kubernetes. You name the repo. You put something in there. You have a long name. You give a directory. You go into the Helm. Create a Helm directory if you need one. You have to add the repo. This sucks, but you have to do this. You have to add the repo. Then you update it. You pull the tarball, and that will do it. That will pull the tarball. Untar. No, you don't need to untar it. And then you need to cache the index .yaml pull and cache the index.yaml file to detect changes later. I actually put this in the README here already. So I don't know. Maybe I should just use this one instead. Helm procedure, Kubernetes Hub, Jupyter. Yeah. So add a Helm chart. This is a specific case, right? I don't know. They're kind of both the same. Pull the chart tarball down locally. Pull and cache index file to detect changes later. I mean, it's just an overview. You know what? I can get rid of these things. I'm going to simplify this. I need to simplify. So we can talk about it kind of at a high level, right? Name the repo, create a README file, create a Helm directory and change it to it. Add the remote repo to Helm with the same short name. Update the Helm repo, pull the chart tarball down locally. This is stuff you should know how to do. And that's why I was writing them down as a cheat sheet, because I didn't know how when I started. Pull the cache and index the YAML file. So the index.yaml file is like super important because that file tells you whether something's changed. So this command right here. So I'm going to show you. So ppp. Yep. So let's do it. Yep. And then I get an index.yaml file. This is the file that you can tell whether you've got a new one to diff or not, right? So yeah. And you want to put that. So I think you should say that in your Helm directory. And so this is all you need. And then you can do the Helm template thing off this. So validate, understand the README file, understand the chart.yaml file. I don't think you need to do this anymore. I don't think you need to do any of this. So this is one of the reasons I wanted to do this, because you can actually validate. I'm actually questioning whether you need to do a validate step at all now, because you're just configuring at that point. There's no validation. There's just configuration, because your validation is you're reading that you're dealing with it. Yeah, I might have to change my thing on that. I don't know if I should make it specific or not. I kind of You know what I mean? Because if we do, if I remove the validation step, I don't think we need validation anymore. I don't. What is there to validate? You just have to look through the YAML files. It's not really validate. It's kind of like acquaint yourself with it, right? I mean, you have to learn about the application. You're about to fucking configure the thing. You better learn about it. What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that word? It's not. It's like understand. I should probably say understand instead of validate. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. Verify. Yeah, verify or understand. Hey, Fraggle. So let's. Yeah. I think that kind of goes with it, with understanding. I mean, yeah. But that, that is not a step that people do with software. When's the last time you sought to understand what your package was going to do to your system before you apt installed it? We probably should be doing that, but we don't, right? We just don't do that. So, I mean, it is validate. It's like, but there's no GPG need. Here's why. Because you're looking at all the fucking code. If you're looking at the resource files that are being generated, right? Then you're understanding what the thing does to your system, and in the process, you're validating it. So, I'm going to put understand. Read me. Charts, policies, infrastructure, depths, etc. So I think I'm going to put flatten. I'm going to put flatten because I like verify too, though, Fraggle. I really do. I do. But I think it's really about understanding what the application does. And honestly, you would do that. Okay, so if you're installing software, no matter what, right? Let's say you're getting involved with some. I'm putting it on different. I need two hats. I need a hat that says software developer and one that says operator, and then I can put a different hat on. I'd probably do that. So if you put your operator hat on for a second, I mean, you put your software developer hat on, and you want to get involved in an open source project, you would put your software developer hat on and you would say, okay, I'm going to download, I'm going to pull this thing. I'm going to read all the code. I'm going to understand it. I want to see what it does before I put it on my system, before I know how to contribute to it or anything. And you're going to just read. You're just going to absorb what the application does. And I think that that's really important. It's another reason I really, 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 really think that all Kubernetes people should learn Go. I don't care if you think you're an administrator. Learn it anyway. Because Go is going to give you so much back in return by being able to read Kubernetes source code. I learned what the phases of kubeadm installation are by reading the source of Go, and it's extremely instructive, by the way. People ask me, like, where's the best book on understanding how to set up a Kubernetes cluster? Read the kubeadm source code. The kubeadm source code is it's the definitive source of literally of how to set up a cluster. Every single phase, every single step of the process of setting up a Kubernetes cluster is documented in extreme detail in black and white Go code. You don't need a fucking book. Go read the source of kubeadm. kubeadm was made because the process was being done by hand, or the hard way, according to Kelsey Hightower. And that process is now no longer needed, and it's now completely codified. The best way for you to understand how to set up a Kubernetes cluster is to read a kubeadm. And you can't read it if you can't read Go. You don't have to be able to be like wicked good with Go programming, but you have to be able to read it. And you can go in and you can read it. You can get insights into why it's doing it a particular way. You can read about the certificates and where they're created. You can understand what they mean, why you need an init system. That's the one I found out about. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Systemd or initd. They're the only two that qualify, by the way. And initd doesn't work unless you're on a BSD system, which I don't even know why we would be installing Kubernetes on BSD or whatever. It's fucked up. That piece of code is fucked up. But, you need to be able to read Go code. And you need to be able to read Helm charts with Helm charts or Go. their Go templates. So learn Go. I would go so far as to say that if I were hiring somebody to be on my Kubernetes administrator team and they couldn't read Go, I wouldn't even consider them, because it is such a fast moving target, and nobody fucking keeps the documents up to date. Nobody keeps the documents up to date. I don't know how many times we found problems with Helm charts and straight up, application stuff that was out of sync with the software because they can't keep the stuff up to date. So you have to learn to go to the code, because the code is the one source of truth. And what was it? In Codem Veritas? Somebody said, we got a video about that. Because that's where the truth is. And that's what the developer is going to tell you. The people who write the documentation, they're the interns that are working, in the summer. They don't give a shit about what's going on. They could carry, but yet you are critically dependent on that documentation unless you aren't. And if you're good, you're going to be able to go straight to the code and understand it. And I can't overstate that. Nobody on my team can do that. I'm the only one. And I'm still the junior. I'm still the new guy on the block, but I love that I can do that, because I can tell them exactly what it does. We can stop fighting about, well, maybe it does this and this. I can go tell them, no, on line 29 here, it says it does this. So that's kind of a rabbit hole I just went down, but I don't care. I cannot overstate how important it is for you to learn to read and eventually write Go code if you're going to be in cloud. If you're going to be in cloud, just do it. Just do it. Eventually Python and Ansible and that stuff might come in handy for that kind of thing. I think it's going to become less and less required. People, that's an unpopular opinion, but I think there's going to be less and less traditional infrastructure management going on with Kubernetes the more Kubernetes gets closer to the metal, which we're seeing with Cedaro and a bunch of stuff. So what next? So I feel like I have everything to tell them. And we changed that name to understand. So I'm going to go ahead and put that. So I have all that stuff, and then we do Helm template. We'll call it JHub, Jupyter Hub. And there's my chart. I didn't have to expand the tarball or anything. It's just there. And you want to write that to a file, which I did. I want to say something else about this. If you're going to make a Helm chart, I cannot overemphasize, I don't plan on doing any, but I can't overemphasize how important it is that you include commented out sections of your YAML files, because so many of your people are going to do Helm template to verify it. And I'm not the only one. There's a lot of other people that are depending on that. So also, by the way, if your application doesn't work with just Helm template within a kubectl apply to it, make damn sure you document the extra things that need to be added. In this case, they didn't. And so I had to discover on my own. I mean, the namespace was obvious, right? I had to add a namespace, and then I had to add a cluster rule, and I had to give the permission. It took me a while to research what permissions it was going to need. It's not documented anywhere. And then I had to add a cluster rule binding. And so I added that to my same file. I've decided to keep it in the same file. There's no reason not to, actually. One of the main reasons to keep it in the same file is that when you start to do your own homegrown templating of any kind, if you need it. And by the way, if you do end up needing we had somebody chime in about secrets and tokens and stuff, and they would never work in Helm because I mean, the best the Helm could do is say, hey, point us at the secret, and then you'd have to go create the secret anyway, right? So you have people that have created their homegrown stub. They would create keywords within their YAML files, and then they would filter their YAML files through whatever, and they would call a secret out to do that. Or you could actually, because you don't give a shit about the template anymore, you could actually go to the top of here and add in, actually, no, you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that. You could. I was thinking you could put your secret in here. I mean, obviously, you can't do that because it would be saved in your GitHub repo, right? And you can't do that. We had. I'm thinking about this because we had a pretty good conversation yesterday about what to do with secrets and certificates, and I need to remember that because I need to make a solid recommendation on that for tomorrow. There's basically 3 ways to do this. One of them is hard code your secrets and certificates into your source code in GitHub. which is what we do right now. Can I just tell you how stupid that is? I think that it's so fucking stupid to do that, but that's what we do. It is a way, and I know I'll prove it to you because I can tell you many people that are doing it right now. Oh, well, the repos are private. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? We wouldn't pass day one of a security audit. Okay, I have to stop talking about it. That's probably too much information about my company. But people do it. I'm telling you, people do this. Who the fuck does that, by the way? I mean, how I got to calm down here because somebody on my team decided to do that and it wasn't me. That is such a fucking fail in my world. It's not the company that I did not set this shit up. I'm going to put that out there right now. Let's not share SOC audit stories. Probably a bad idea. Probably a bad idea. At least you don't know who I work for, thank God. This is why, please never talk to who I work for. Because when I accidentally share a horror story, the worst possible thing would be, oh, hey, what company is that? Let's go attack them. No. That would get me summarily fired, and which might be fine because I go work for a company that doesn't fucking put X509 certificates in. Oh my God. I found private secure shell keys in our GitHub repos. Yep. They're committed right there in .ssh. It's all in there. I'm like, do you people really, how did you get hired? I'm serious. I'm like, how the fuck did you get this job? And nobody knows to even look at it. You've become more annoying than average. How's it going, Lyso? Welcome. That would be, I'm pretty annoying too, but it's my stream, so fuck you. All right, back to where I was. What was I talking about besides complaint? All right, way number 2. They did an entirety of GitHub audit and they found millions of repos. Oh God, yeah. Dude, it's like a hacker's fucking heyday right now. It is. I have the file type posted twice in your editor. Posted my file type is posted. What, over here? Now this is I don't know what we're talking about. If you're talking about here, this is the file. This is the file, so the file type. And this is the file type. So there's multiple suffixes that generate files. Yeah. Yep. Blue team, Sage. Yes, blue team. So number two way, which I think is probably, there's like a less secure way, and then there's a really, really fucking secure way. The really fucking secure way is to not document where your secrets are at all. Make it tribal knowledge that is talked about, verbally, someplace, or it's kept offline, so nobody can even find out. If they had access to your SharePoint or to your GitHub repos, they couldn't even know where your secrets are, what they're called, where all of that information is. They would to do that. It's very hard. Or if you do have that you put it in an encrypted file. You put it in a file that's encrypted that everybody agrees to share, and frankly, you can put that in a private GitHub repo. I'm okay with that. You can put a AAAS encrypted file in a GitHub repo. A PKI, I think, I don't know. I mean, even that's probably bad because they could buy like Ultra MIPS on Amazon and break it. Even with AAAS, it would be really hard. They'd paid lots and lots of money to do it, but nobody's taking that level of security. I guarantee you. But if they did, you could, the ultra security would be, you didn't write down where stuff even is. So there's no record of where you keep your stuff. And then everybody just knows about it. And they say, okay, when you do it, you have to think. That's not really practical though, because you need to be able to include that stuff in your process for CI/CD or whatever. You're going to have to, replace those. You're going to have to replace those keys and those tokens and everything. are going to have to be in here, right? I mean, I guess you could do that. You could put the dependencies in here, obviously, and then you just say, okay, I just need a secret. I have to research about how secrets work a little bit more, but from what I remember, there's just a way for you to put them in here, and then they just get replaced. In production, we had our secrets pulled from a secret manager. Yeah. Into a sidecar that's shared with the service, assuming, yeah. And that's what Vault does, right? So Vault does that. Did you use Vault or some other one? Yeah, there's a number of them, but yeah, but you can put your stuff in there. This is a Kubernetes discussion, absolutely. Yeah. So into the sidecar, then we share it with the service. So yeah. Anyway. How's it going? Yeah, sure, Brian. I mean, it depends on what it is, but we're at work here, but we'll try and answer. So the point here is, I mean, I think the middle path is probably okay. I think having a SharePoint or something that explains how you manage your secrets is kind of okay if it's being secured on your private network environment. And then you just tell people how to incorporate secrets properly, and you set forth the policy and say, hey, if you're creating an app, even if it's just a Kubernetes cron job, make sure that you do this and such, and don't ever save your stuff to thing, and then put it part of your team documentation so they can go through the process and they don't make dumb ass intern errors, because they're going to. If you don't do that, they will, and they'll save hash keys and all kinds of stuff inside of your source code. So I think that's way number 2. I didn't say I said share, not for the secrets. I said for describing how your secrets are managed. If that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't have to say where they are. SharePoint in life. I fucking hate SharePoint. But we're supposed to fit everything. I fucking hate it. It's so bad. I fucking hate it. I work for a company that forces us to write everything in SharePoint, and I can't use Linux, even though I'm an infrastructure engineer on a machine learning cluster. We'll see if I last another couple of years here. We already lost all our SMEs. All our SMEs are gone, and the manager who hired me. That's like 4 people are gone. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I really love this team. It's a great team. We're just in over our head. So, I mean, I like it. I like being in over my head. It helps me learn a lot, but why don't we have markdown with colors? We do. We do have markdown with colors. Yeah. Yeah, you can make markdown into colors. You just render markdown as HTML and do CSS. The end. Right? Yeah. Yeah. And then I do highlighting with it in Vim, if that's what you're talking about. It depends on who's doing what, right? But I have colors. See? Look, colors. They're not pretty colors, but they're there. Yeah, you got to remember, people are colorblind too. Be careful with that. My stepson's colorblind. I found out today too that we have blind members of our community, at least one. We have at least one blind member of our community who's learning Kubernetes, who is super grateful that we do everything rubber duck style. I don't know if they're here right now. I'm not necessarily asking you to dox yourself again, but that was very important to me, because I've been ranting on why we need to make technology accessible to the blind community for a long time, and now I have to make sure I do too. So be careful with that color stuff. I mean, it's fun. Rob Pike, who invented Go, one of the guys on Go, says it's juvenile. I don't agree. I think it's fun. All right, let's. I think we have everything. I honestly, I think I have my proposal done. The only thing I need to really solidify on is what to do with all of the saved passwords and certificates in our GitHub repos. And I think the answer there is to put them. We've had two people suggest what they do on stream here. One of them is to create some sort of build process that pulls them and replaces them before it gets pushed. And another, I mean, that's ultimately what secrets do anyway. and the other one is to use some sort of secrets manager that has a sidecar and puts them. Those things like Vault are pretty heavy though, but they only deploy sidecars into, if I remember how Vault does it, they only deploy sidecars into the nodes that need them, the pods that need them. I was thinking of a daemon, so that's why I said node. And that can be a problem because it's, that's a lot of deployment. Depending on how many pods you have running, you need to have a sidecar in every single thing, right? I'm pretty sure that's how Vault does it. But I need to go look at that. Is there a big go for impaired people in IT jobs? I mean, there are loads of projects that focus on that. Even if W3S in the RA labels for HTML, so I think so, yeah. Yeah, but people ignore it all the time. Pizza Hut lost the court case for that very reason. Yeah, they do. But it's too bad too, because you get crazy amazing technologists who have some kind of visual hearing impairment. Yep. So I try to make my stuff cater to both. I was actually super pleased to find that the videos I posted to YouTube, I'm actually being really good to post my VODs to YouTube now because YouTube has closed captioning. So the hearing impaired, they can watch it. Or if you don't want to risk me saying fuck on a speakers at work or worse, making some inappropriate joke, which I've been known to do. I mean, come on. I told you this is a mature stream. So, but we're at work now. So let's keep it above. We got another hour. Oh, I said fuck on stream and Beer Chug follows me. Of course. My kind of people. Welcome to the community. So what are we going to do here? I feel like I've got enough ready for this. I'm kind of beating a dead horse at this point because what is up with these references? Are these all every time I keep using these like built-in idioms or whatever, I like beating a dead horse. I'm like, why the fuck am I saying that? I don't want to beat a dead horse. Why is he dead in the first place? Besides, international people are like, what does that even mean? Anyway. So what am I left doing right now? I've got everything in line. I have my recommendations down. I have my list of things to do. It's not complicated. My proposal ultimately, well, hey Troy, welcome. The proposal I have boils down to create a GitHub repo, document some stuff in there. If it needs a Helm chart, pull down the Helm chart, flatten the Helm chart, read it, make your configurations, save the shit. You're done. That's it. And I'm not the only one who does that. Proportionate does it. Taniwa does it. Who else was saying that that's the way they did theirs? There's a lot of people who have been saying that that's how they manage their stuff. Roberto. That's a great name. Tudo bem. Muito bem. Tudo bem. I kept calling Money Heist Portuguese yesterday. I feel so embarrassed. It was Spanish. I'm an idiot. I have an hour left on this co-working session, and I'm trying really hard to stay focused on something that's valuable. But I think I'm ready for the proposal. I just need to write it in a better way. I need to write it so it fits on one page, one screen. It needs to fit on one screen. I already have that. What language is this? There's no language here. We're doing Kubernetes stuff, my friend. Yep. It's the YAML language. This is YAML. Yep. So you're a Java developer. Nice. I did Java for a long time. Used to present on it. Infra and Kubernetes. What can you learn? Actually made a video on that. I did. Zet query prerequisites. Big old fucking word. Vids prerequisites. So there's some things you can click on. There it is. What are the prerequisites to learning Kubernetes? So I still think that's relevant. Java is your primary language? Yeah, students are always forced to do Java, unfortunately. I feel really sad. I feel really sad for them, but might as well use it. Java is still a valuable language. I mean, I bag on it a lot, but it's still a valuable language. It's particularly when you're doing Android apps, you know? So, sad days. Java for 10 years? Yep. Yeah, that's my notes on that. So I just checked to make sure there's stuff there. Yeah, there's stuff in both of them. Still working in Java? Yeah. Java, last I saw, it was like it's number 2 most employable language. So nobody wants to do it. I fucking hate it. But I removed all references to Java in my resume and my CV because I didn't want to get it. I didn't want to get job postings for it over the time. I kept getting inundated with people who wanted to give me a Java job. And I was like, no, Python. The one I saw was a while ago. It was like 2 years ago. I don't remember the one. Python, hands down, is one of the most employable languages right now because machine learning is like blowing the fuck out of everything. Just go watch the NVIDIA keynote if you want to know what I'm talking about. We watched the keynote together, actually, here during a co-working session. I don't particularly like Python, but you have to learn it if you're going to get into machine learning, especially with PyTorch. So, and PyTorch is beating TensorFlow from where I'm sitting. It appears it's beating it. Yeah, there's 200 plus machine learning people where I work, and I, Anyway, okay, so I just need to start making. Oh, we should probably talk about the manifest. We probably talk about the manifest about how to list the stuff. And I didn't actually put that in the. A manifest is just a list of all your apps, because there's no standard way to do this. Now, we put all of ours in a specific namespace in this type system, but, that's not quite enough. I think you probably should do more than that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, I honestly, I think you need to get a repo that is kind of like your collection of all of them. Hey, PB. I'm just going to call you PB. You work in AI and ML, you have to study Python. Yeah. Yeah, math for sure. Easy instruments to learn math is hard beast. Absolutely. Amen. 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 Yep. Go learn that calculus and all that other stuff. Yep. I mean, if you want to actually learn it, but yeah, it's there. Mathematicians, PhD mathematician professors are getting pilfered from colleges all over the place by big tech. They're like throwing 300,000 at them and saying, "Hey, come help us make sense of all of our data." Yep. Math is a big deal. The machine learning stuff, mathematicians and machine learning bar is getting lowered because of things like PyTorch and TensorFlow, but still, it's kind of like the people who are making the models, the people who are generating the models, the people who are using the models, and the people that are supporting all the stuff that runs the models. Calculus, statistics, a lot of things. If you master math, Python is a learning tool. Yeah. I agree. Actually, the whole machine learning thing has got me wanting to bone up on my calculus again. I got straight A's in calculus through 300 level, and then I haven't ever used it. I haven't done a derivative in more than 30 years. So I don't know how good I would be. But not good to do. Think I would focus on that. I still think you should learn Python, because coding is, look, it's not like I'm going to become a master's in mathematics before I learn Python. I don't think that's a good path. Learn how to code, learn how to use Linux, learn how to become an autodidact and make money on your coding skills while you learn machine learning, and then take your machine learning, that's actually a path that's kind of similar to the same path you could do with web. So I actually took that path. I learned to do all kinds of development and stuff, language development, software and things like that. And then I became a front-end web developer in the 90s, back when knowing how to do the blink tag and backgrounds made you get a job. And then I got a job, and then I learned Perl after that, which was the back end. And then I doubled my salary doing Perl programming on the back end, and just went into the job and went from there. So I think the same sort of path exists for Python and Python and mathematics and machine learning. It's like you learn Python and Linux, right? Python, Linux, and R maybe, and then you've got your foothold into data science jobs, and you're doing the Linux stuff, right? And you're using PyTorch and TensorFlow, but you don't really know the calculus behind it. And then you get those jobs, and then you like really, really dive into understanding the science and the math behind the machine learning stuff, and then you just rocket then you become sort of like the equivalent of the back end web person. Now you're the back end machine learning person because you actually know how the math works. There's a lot of people that are, you got to learn Linux? Yeah. And went to another try? Yeah, you should learn. I added a boost on it. Yep. Go there and go try that. That's my idea on how to learn Linux. And when I say it's going to take you a year, just forget it. Just try it. I think there's something to be said about learning Linux from the containers, because containers are really essential and critical. Even for people who think that machine learning is not going to have anything to do with it, it is. I guarantee it, because I maintain a Kubernetes cluster for machine learning people, and they use it every day, all day, on V100s and A100 GPUs that cost like thousands of dollars. Which is why, by the way, that is why I am so happy I kept my MSI gaming machines. I kept 4 of my MSI gaming laptops, gaming Trident systems that were used to do game development on Unreal Engine back in the day, and I still have them with the GPU, and now I can use it for machine learning. Yep. And then I can do GPU feature discovery, and I can test that out of my new cluster I'm building over Christmas. Over Christmas, I'm going to probably actually even sooner than that. I'm building out this whole room here, and that room's going to be a bunch of hodgepodge of old systems, Raspberry Pis, and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to build a Kubernetes cluster on there and start to simulate all kinds of shit. I'm super excited. But what I will say is I need to keep my feet on there. How are we going to do the manifest? Let's talk about the manifest with our last hour we have here. What is the manifest going to look like? What do people use to keep track of their applications? Let me ask that. Does anybody else have any ideas on this? I'm going to do a quick query on this. How do people keep track of all their installed Kubernetes applications? What do they do to audit it? They just have a ton of resources. They have to do like namespace queries and stuff, right? 9 best practices to keeping it safe. Monitor Kubernetes in production. How-to guide. Most of these are just bullshit. God, I read one from Medium today. I just could not believe it. Are you tracking Kubernetes applications effectively? Ooh, it's from Russia. I trust it more. Except for it requires JavaScript. It doesn't require it. Please enable cookies. We beg you. Fuck you. Please turn JavaScript on. No. Bite me. Do you have CAPTCHA? No. Why do I have to complete a CAPTCHA? What can I, this is not good. This is like a Russian thing. What can I do to prevent this from future? If you're on a professional connection. Oh, Cloudflare. No, look at that, man. Totally denied it. No. I'm not going to do that because I don't want you to fucking track me. I kind of want to read it. All right, fine. Fine. The Russian Cloudflare. Checking to make sure we can access you. They sent it through Cloudflare because they didn't want to get... I fucking hate Cloudflare like front ends like that when they do that. I hate that. All your tracking Kubernetes. Easier to main. Downsize also decreases bottleneck. More scalable. Oh, Maya. Da. Nushto. This also distributed tracing address. We don't want distributed tracing. Kubernetes is one of the most popular. Yes. Don't. Why would you even say that? Tracing solutions. We're not doing tracing. Tracing is different. Tracing is watching how the pieces work in your system. It's totally different. Jaeger is tracing. I'm not doing that. This is, you lied to me. What's this organization? Grafana Temple. No. I just want to know what my applications are. X-ray. Наш сайт является информационным посредником. Сообщить о нарушении авторских прав. Our site, that says site. That's how you spell site in Russian. Является. Our site is посредником, middleman or something like that. An informational medium, I think it is. I think this means medium. Посредником, I think means medium. I don't know. Это не важно. Ну ладно. Окей. Это достаточно. Manage Kubernetes using Helm. Fuck Helm. Basically, chart is basically a bundle of all the Kubernetes resource objects for navigation. It absolutely isn't. It's a bundle of templates that generate those things. I'm so sick of people getting Helm wrong and confusing the shit out of me and everybody else. The monitor all these fundamental part of what AWS Elasticsearch. How to set Prometheus monitoring Kubernetes Cluster. This is monitoring. This is not how to configure Kubernetes applications with customize. That's worth reading at some point. At some point, I want to read that. Because a lot of people like customize too, just want to use kubectl. I'm reading this. Once you start using Kubernetes to manage your container applications, you'll most likely embrace the command line interface kubectl. How would you not embrace the command line interface kubectl? Is there another way? Oh, that's right. There's a dashboard, which I have never once booted or viewed. I am very proud to say I have never seen the Kubernetes dashboard. Since the start of Kubernetes, I found kubectl to be of great work compared to other CLIs. What other CLIs? Discuss more on Hacker Network. Oh my God, Hacker News. I am like losing interest so fast on this one. It is relatively easy to get used to once you know your various Kubernetes API objects, and it is very empowering. Being able to scale an application with kubectl scale. Ooh, never used it. Being able to edit manifests on the fly. We're not talking about manifests. We're talking about, I think he's talking about resource manifests. Okay, fine. With kubectl edit, which you should never, ever fucking do. If you edit a resource on the fly with kubectl edit, and you are not doing it just because you want to put some control sleep loop in there, command sleep loop, you are a bad person. No biscuit. And check the history of the deployment with kubectl rollout. Okay, yes. Very quickly, however, you will realize that the CLI is limited. They all are. Get the fuck off my page, you piece of shit author. And then they take full advantage of the API specification. You need to start dealing with the configuration files. Oh my God. Does anybody have any questions why I don't read Hacker News and Medium? This just makes my point right here. You will do so also because you want to keep a source of truth and you want to have a change review process for all your objects. This I agree with. Okay, you're redeeming me here. I mean yourself. If you don't, then multiple users might step on each other and manipulate live objects. You think? Especially since you just told them to use kube control edit, leaving you in a state of confusion. What should my cluster state be? Hence, you're supposed to put a comma after hence, my friend. You will slowly abandon single imperative commands like kubectl set and start applying your changes by declaring them in kubectl apply. Wait a second. So up until now, have you been saying we should be doing all of this with kubectl create and set? Because if so, Mr. 4 exclamation points, you're losing me again. Oh my God. Why am I wasting my time? However, comma, one problem will remain. How do you author the object manifests of what is best and way to modify them? In this blog, I'll introduce you to customize. I don't even want to fucking look at customize after reading this. because I can already tell a relatively new tool that allows you to keep a declarative mindset while modeling out. You know what? That declarative mindset that you guys keep championing is also fucking us, because you cannot install and manage applications with a declarative mindset. You have to have an imperative mindset, because it has to be able to detect and do things in set steps, one after the other, and based on conditions. And that is the opposite of declarative. So this whole declarative madness is fucking over applications management for Kubernetes. And I'm not the only one who's been saying so. There's been a couple other people on their own who have suggested the same in the chat. Imperative versus declarative Kubernetes object management. If you have not already embraced the declarative mindset, the journey that will lead you from an imperative to a declarative mode of operation, as if that's some fucking amazing kumbaya unicorn shit. There's nothing wrong with an imperative mindset. That's how computers work. That's how people do things, by steps. Oh my God. Look, stop. I hate it when people demonize paradigms. There is a paradigm for the right job, just like there is a programming language for the right job. It'll be fairly natural. The documentation is terrific on this subject. Oh, it is, really? Who wrote the documentation? Kubernetes Object Management. In truth, that documentation is not very good. Have you read it? He hasn't read it. I guarantee he hasn't read it. Yes. And I invite you to read on the differences on how to migrate from one to another. Okay. Using Kubernetes does this to you. You truly embrace the API. I can't look away now. It's like a train wreck. Using Kubernetes does this to you. You truly embrace the API. Is there any question why people are confused? You forget about the underlying infrastructure, and you manipulate your cluster state both from an operational and user perspective without any thought to the underlying infrastructure that you're grinding the shit out of because you don't think about it. Why do you think that they hire infrastructure engineers to do this job and not this guy or girl? This is when Guilfoyle yells at Dinesh, because Dinesh doesn't give a shit about grinding the CPU to death on Anton. And Dinesh and Guilfoyle's like, yeah, your code is shit. Твой софт говно. Software shit. Because they don't think about what they're doing to the CPU and to the RAM and everything. They don't think about it. They just want it to do something. And I kind of get it, but this will naturally bring you to using your version control system as a source of truth. Your admins will start operating the cluster via pull requests, which will unify the workflows between developers and operations. In something that we now call GitOps. Who are you writing this for? Prepubescent teenagers? Configuration tools sprawl in the Kubernetes ecosystem. It is impossible to talk about Kubernetes manifest authoring application configuration tools without mentioning a ton of configuration tools. Okay. Wait, but you didn't mention a single fucking one of them. Oh, yes, you did. Good. All right. Well, a lot of people will be asking, what is the tool that a user should use? That's what I'm asking. I believe there is no one tool. You think? Good. Even this person agrees. There's no silver bullet. Your background, your preferences, your familiarity with the programming language API will dictate what you'd rather be used. The power is in the API. If you'd rather use Python or Golang or Bash to interact with it, what? Why are we interacting with the API? I just want to fucking install an application. The tool does not matter as long as it does the job reliably and effectively. Wait, API is different than tool, my friend. Brian Grant, one of the Kubernetes steering committee members and co-founders of the project, wrote a long documentation about application configuration with pros and cons. The document is on GitHub. Okay, so far it's been worth sifting through this shit. I think I'm going to open this. Somebody from the board, actually, in 2017, wrote about what to do with applications. I don't even think this is worth reading. That's like more than 6 years old, 5 years old. No. Common off-the-shelf components, bespoke. Toolbox composable configuration, declarative data model, non-expressive. Huh. This is all about declarative applications management. What the fuck is this? Anyway, we'll come back to that. I don't think this is an old write-up. Helm, Compose, Kedge, I didn't even know about these other ones. I did not. There's 67 tools. The comparison of these tools will be pointless. They're all at different stages of development. I agree. And seeing different adoption, yes. Are written in different languages, yes. More importantly, they're all Kubernetes application configuration space, but the tackle significant problem. Compose, for instance, wait, did he make Compose? If this is the person who wrote Compose, I am immediately and forever never using it. I'm just going to tell you right now. Was meant to ease the transition from Docker to Compose. Wait, is this about Customize or Compose? Oh, this is about Compose. Yeah, Compose is cool. Compose is cool. If you wrote it, it's fine. Compose is fine. K8sapp started as a manifest authoring tool to solve the full different problems, different times, different languages, different personas to need different tools. Thoughts on the Cloud Native Helm project? Why would you call it the CNCF Cloud project? When dealing with Kubernetes applications, one of the first thoughts and challenges is to manage application manifests in YAML file. Helm was the first tool to tackle that problem. I had the chance to see its rebirth after it was first created by DICE, and the DICE team has since then joined Microsoft. Oh, God. That explains so much. I did not know. Today I learned that the people who made Helm are now Microsoft employees. Helm is terrific to provide a one-line command install. You have no fucking clue what you're saying. No, you really don't. So this guy is so clueless. The application package is a so-called chart. When Helm started, the charts represented a relatively small templatization of the Kubernetes objects made up an application. But little by little, templatization took over, and now the Helm templates that make up a chart are fully templatized. See below for an example. I am not a big fan of this, nor is the rest of the fucking world, because this basically moved the API to what is so-called values.file, and I heard it called the override file. You can specify an override file with Helm set. I don't know where my source of truth is anymore. Exactly. So I'm with him on that point. Oh my God. Thank you for that. Okay. You can specify an override. So I'm with him on the pain with the whole Helm thing. That said, the alternative is to keep a bunch of YAML files around with a lot of identical parts, and you are left having to deal with tracking all the different. No, you're not. It's not true. You can have one file with multiple sub YAML documents in it. The end. This was like making me particularly open to customize, which provides a new purely declarative approach configuration. The original blog is a great read. It's not like customize is straightforward. You can grab the race. I don't want to use customize. I might go try it, but no. You don't even have to install it anymore. It's built into kubectl. This is really old. And they only did that to go after Azure. Yeah, I bet they did. Potential incompatibilities. Customize belongs to the SIGs, Special Interest Group Organization. This is really old because it's been in kubectl by default for a long time. There's been a great debate about whether that should have happened because it's not modular. Kubernetes manifests. While Helm leverages templates to override this, Customize aims to stick to the Kubernetes API objects as is. That's what we want, and generate new objects using customize.yaml file, which declaratively defines the changes that need to happen to a given API source. Other times you write a patch that Customize applies to your objects. For instance, say you want labels to add a resource instead of being imperative with kubectl label, you can use a customize.yaml file and then build the new objects and consider the pod. Pod gets a label. Common label super resource pod. Then you can generate, and then they all get the same label. You have extracted the common pattern. Oh, I see. Maybe I'm not against customize. Customize is just a way. It's just a way to help you generate a bunch of YAML resource files, and without using Helm. So I would just assume put it in there. I don't feel like it has to use customize, but customize seems fine. Customize just seems like it's an extension tool to help you do things to all their resources at one time, like labels. That's probably a big thing because adding a label to every resource is a pain in the ass. So it's on API. There's nothing wrong with sed. Except for you probably could have done it with bash, but you didn't. No, that's it. That's it. That's all you had to say. Okay. Well, nobody has anything on this. I've looked all over and I still can't find it. I just can't. There's no standard for itemizing your applications. So I mean, there's got to be something that shows you all your namespaces. I suppose that would be the dashboard, but I think I want something more than that because I want to be able to create a manifest that says, hey, this goes with this, group, or this particular application needs to go in dev and prod. There needs to be something that you can iterate over that says, hey, here's all of our applications and we need to see if any of them have been updated. So I put that in the, I put that in my Kubernetes application management conventions. I put that in here. I put it right here. Agree to essential manifest of all installed applications in its own Git repo. So I want to know what that looks like. That's the last thing I probably have to do before we end up today. We're going to be ending. I'm going to take a break. I already have this started, but I put some parameters in it that are not relevant to this. I put things like, is it included in a Helm chart? Is it in, deploy chart? It's like, you kind of need to make like this is kind of a personal thing. Not a personal, it's like a company thing. It's like, what is the information that you want to store about this system application? This system Kubernetes application. What are the things you need to know about it? And those bits of data are not going to be the same across the board, across enterprise. So I need to come up with what that would be, what the manifest would look like. And minimally, we'd have a name in it. Something like this, because if you're not using Helm for all that, you have to figure out, well, what is the base name of my application? And that would be, sort of a match of, you know what, I'm going to try one. So I'm going to try one. I'm going to say, let's try to document one. Z create, k8s, app, manifest schema. How's it going before? Manifest schema. Here is one take, one approach, one way to document all the installed Kubernetes applications by putting the relevant data in a single YAML file stored in a Git repo. Related. I got to do this. So zet link k8s app. I'm going to link that in. Yeah. All right. So this means each following the k8s app convention. All right, so there we go. Following the k8s app convention of having a single application, no matter the scale per repo, per Git repo. All right. So what would this thing look like? Let's just start having a take on this. So it would be, I mean, we could do, you know what, let's make a YAML file. And we'll just have fun with it. So the first thing we need is, I mean, what do we do? We need the name, right? So, and the other thing too is like, do we do, I like the idea of doing multiple YAML files in a single file, because it keeps you from avoiding that problem by having like a big monstrous one at the top, you know? And it's totally doable with JQ. JQ is parsable, parses it really easily. You can put comments for each one and stuff. In fact, you could assemble, well, no. You could assemble this thing. We can use the lessons learned from file system inode tables. Yep. Okay, this is cool. This means that we'll have an info file. This makes me want to do this instead of a README file. Either that or we could mine it out of the README file. We already have, okay. Stored in a Git repo with a specific prefix, preferably k8sapp. We can actually, if we do this, we could do discovery. That's what I'm trying to say. If we do this, we could actually do discovery by just watching the account. And we could have our CI/CD process pick up a new one. We could even deploy it, for God's sake. Yeah, we could do a total GitOps thing. Here's one way to document all the installed Kubernetes applications by pulling relevant data in a single YAML file. Stored in a Git repo with a specific. Oh, wait. Pull from in a single YAML manifest file. That pulls metadata from the individual Kubernetes application Git repos with this with specific prefixes following the Kubernetes all right, so we got that all down. I think we just need to make a file. We just need to make a file. We're done. We don't even need to make file. We need to do a scan. Yeah, here's the one I need to document all the installed Kubernetes applications by pulling relevant data in a single YAML manifest file stored in a Git repo. It pulls metadata from the individual Kubernetes application Git repos. With specific prefixes. So we could make it. It depends. I mean, if you put all of your stuff, under a single account name, you could do that. But you don't even need that. You could have stuff. Ouch. You could have stuff maintained by different groups, and have it still work. You know what I mean? You definitely could. You could do it. But actually, if we do this, then we really just need a list. We just need a list. In fact, fuck, you don't even need that. Okay, so each k8sapp should contain the following. Each k8sapp repo should contain, what do we call it? Meta k8sapp.yaml. A k8sapp. This is just for me, so I don't know if anybody else is going to use it, but we're going to use it, hopefully. Containing the metadata to be combined. So yeah, I mean, you could just have it pulled in. You could have it rebuilt. I want to do this though, because if somebody removes a repo, well, that would be bad. I think this is the first step towards the whole GitOps CI/CD stuff for our Kubernetes cluster for our system infrastructure. I think it's naive to think that we could just delete and update stuff as easily just going to do this, but I think we're getting pretty damn close. And the thing about it is that it's highly customized for our environment, so it gets by all the problems with Helm. Hey, thanks for the follow, Holly. So yeah. So let's do this. Well, you know, we all are slow learning. It depends on what it is, you know, but it's worth doing. This Kubernetes stuff is really kicking my ass. Yeah. But one of the reasons I do when I go through the videos, at one point I say, look, you know, this is going to take a long time. I don't want people to get frustrated. I think people going into it think, hey, I'm going to be a Kubernetes admin in 6 months. No, no, because you need to learn a lot. They'll still hire you. Believe me, they'll hire you, and they'll help you learn on the job. So I don't think you should not apply for a job, but being able to be, you know, like fully qualified up front is not a thing. They hired me. I didn't make a Docker file my entire life. Here to learn something? Nice. Ironically, I'm just about to wrap up a coworking stream, which is going to end here at 6. And then I'm going to take a big old long break and come back. And when I come back, we're going to be doing, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and put it here. Tonight at 9 o'clock, I'm going to change my schedule here. So if anybody wants to follow what's happening. So I'm gonna change the coworking for tonight to a freshman. Holly, do you know about the Boost stuff? I made a bunch of Boost videos. That's how my recommendation to get started if you want to do back-end Linux C kind of things. You can go have a peek. Okay, so I also do art and live music, pub crawls on stream, and I go running and talk about capitalism and economics. And I got yelled at today by a trailer lady. Why are you filming my trailer? Because it's pretty. I'm gonna get shot one of these days. I swear I don't want to. I don't want to get shot. I don't. Why am I showing you Amazon stuff? That's not what I wanted to show you. Where am I? Okay, here we go. Co-working. So greetings, time traveler. Actually, I'm just getting ready to set up. So later tonight, I'll be doing co-working again. We're gonna do Kate's manifests. That's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna create a Kate's manifest. Manifest metadata. So I'm going to be doing that tonight. That's in my thing. And that should show up on the schedule. I am going to go ahead and take a break right now and go eat some dinner and live a little bit of life outside of work. And when I come back, we're gonna come back. I feel good though, because I feel like we're making progress on a standard I can really get behind. I have to convert something 20 plus some applications into whatever it is we come up with. So that's why I'm going about this so longly. You're putting Docker, Kubernetes, and Helm stuff into my notes, so I have it. Nice. Yeah. I'm kind of all over the place, but hopefully some of these things will be out there. And my Zettelkasten is always available for you to go read. And when I delete, I change my mind all the time in there. But so I'm gonna go ahead and leave this up. But yeah, you can make but hopefully it'll make an informed decision more than just using what everybody says to use, right? So I am rather than notify everybody, I'm just going to put well, actually no, because I'm going to want to publish this as a VOD. So I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to stop the stream really quick, and then I'm going to start the fishies, and the fishies will go for another 3 hours, and then fishies and music, and you guys can talk amongst yourself, but there's lots of other streamers right now you can go listen to. But I'll be with you in a moment.